If we crowdsourced all aspects of product development, can we make invention accessible? Let's take a look.
We, as a people, must invent. Not because we need to find new ways to make money or to showcase our intelligence, but because it's part of who we all are. We get trains and we start building planes. We get computers and we want to make them personal. We get the internet and we want it faster. We as humans always expect better and are always thinking about what's next. But for centuries, the chances of you successfully inventing a product have been just about as slim as becoming an Olympic athlete, astronaut, or movie star. How could something so intrinsic to who we all are and so important to moving our world forward be so damn hard? It's time that we make invention accessible. It's time that we invent together.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the founder of Quirky, Ben Kaufman.
So, being that it's Valentine's Day, I want to start with a dirty little secret. I believe invention is human. I believe for humans it's absolutely impossible to go through a single day without encountering an inefficiency or a problem or inequality that you would then sort of try to find potential solutions for. I'm going to go one step further and say inventing is sort of like a reflex. It's so sort of intuitive to who we are that we just sort of do it and we're born with it. We are all inventors. Now think for a second about the inventors you know. You might know the sort of homebrew scientist, the garage crazy uncle with 37 patents who still lives with your grandparents. And then, of course, there's the crazy rambunctious kid with the cardboard and the styrofoam and sort of trying to make it all work. In fact, you all know of another group of inventors, I think 5,600 of you or something here, and that's awesome. But where on earth is everyone else? Where are all the other inventors? If inventing is truly a reflex, and it's something that we all do, where is everyone else? Well, they start out inventing, right? Because that's a reflex and that's how they do it. But then they stop. And they stop not because they want to, but because that's what the world infers they should be doing. They should stop. Now, why should they stop? Because it's hard. Inventing new products and commercializing new things is so damn hard. We all know the things that you need to sort of put together, but think about a single person doing all those things on their own. Accessing capital, knowing the right people, being multidisciplinary between design and engineering and merchandising and manufacturing, and all these different things need to come together just to push one brand new consumer product or product out into the real world. That's not okay. If inventing is truly human, and it's truly something that is intrinsic to all of us, why are we stopping? I don't know about you, but I like breathing. So I kind of want to keep inventing. Luckily, the accessibility of invention is something that's now sort of coming together. It's changing. I want to introduce you to a guy named Jake. That's Jake, goofy looking kid, right? Jake is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And just a few years ago, he's 22 years old now. Just a few years ago, he was in high school. And he had a product idea. Now his sort of passion or path of invention started with NASA, like spaceship NASA, coming around to his high school during the summer program and saying, you know, we want to inspire inventors and creativity. Jake, he had a good idea, but he couldn't really go anywhere else with it. He won the NASA product design competition, and they gave him a t-shirt. Jake couldn't commercialize a product with a t-shirt. So he stopped, just like everyone does. But luckily for Jake, the tides of invention are changing. We aren't like Hal and How at Quirky. We're not roboticists, but over the course of the past 18 months, we've built Jake an exoskeleton. We've built him an exoskeleton that's allowing him to breathe, that's allowing him to invent. That exoskeleton is built of two things: technology and community. Putting those things together has made Jake an inventor. So here's how it worked for him. In high school, he looked on the floor. And like all of us, he realized a problem. And sort of something that was inefficient, that was part of his daily life, but wasn't all that great. He thought he could do better. He saw a standard household power strip. And like all of us, he's trying to fit those big power bricks in, and realizing when he fits the big power bricks in, it's blocking the floor next to him. So he was just all pissed off, and he saw this NASA thing at school, and so he wanted to sort of invent. Now, as a high school student, his sort of first thing he would do to become an inventor was to obviously make a sort of trifold board like it was a science project. This is Jake's actual high school project. He defined a problem. He couldn't fit all of his power bricks into a power strip. He sort of understood the marketplace a little bit. What are the things that are out there, and sort of where do I think I could fit? And then he came up with a concept, how he intended to solve the problem. Now, he got the t-shirt from NASA, and that was fantastic. But then he stopped. He stopped for about 3 years while we were first getting Quirky started, and then he finally read about Quirky in an in-flight magazine on American Airlines. He read about Quirky and immediately went to Quirky.com. Literally every single week, people come and they come to our website and share their ideas. The mission of the company is very simple. It can be boiled down to 3 simple words: making invention accessible. Taking out sort of the realities and complexities that leave becoming a successful inventor up to your pedigree and your circumstance and just plain luck. So Jake came to Quirky. He submitted his idea pretty much in the same form that he did that trifold board. What's your problem? What's your intended solution? What category of business are you in? And what are sort of some key features that we can look at and define whether or not that's a great idea? Every week, all of these ideas sort of roll into our website. And they roll in on a consistent basis. On an average day, we're getting around 200, 300 new product ideas. Now, as these ideas are coming in, there's a community of almost 200,000 people. And they're voting and rating and commenting and enhancing and refining each other's ideas. And for Jake, he made it to Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon at Quirky is the most fun you could possibly have. We look at all the votes and all the ideas that came in a given week, and we literally crown new inventors, 2 every single week. So for Jake, his idea got a ton of votes. He made it to this Friday meeting, and of course, he was crowned Quirky product number 44 for his invention, the usable power strip. So here we are with a concept, but now we dive into probably the most collaborative of product design processes in the entire world. Jake's product went from, okay, does Jake have a good idea or not, to how are we going to make this thing real? We break the product development process off into multiple chunks. The first was research. How many people actually own a power strip? Turns out a good amount of people own a power strip. We go on to industrial design. Literally, now these aren't professional industrial designers. They don't have a comma IDSA after their name. But what they do have is some ideas and some sort of interesting concepts of how we can make a power strip actually hold all the things we want it to. So for Jake, he went in and sort of participated in this process. Even something as mundane in the product development process as naming a new product was helped by Jake and these 200,000 people. Going in and literally naming what this product could be. Jake's product ultimately became known as the PivotPower. Now in each and every single one of these phases, people can sort of also participate on our mobile app, but they are literally posting ideas, voting, rating, and commenting. We probably have one of the more productive comment threads on the internet. People aren't just saying that sucks or that doesn't suck. They're saying round that corner and chamfer that edge. And you know what? If it was just one shade lighter of green, that would be a killer CMF of the product. Now, All of this is happening online, right? It's all happening in the digital world. These community members, most of whom I've never met, but they're helping us develop great products. But they're not on their own. They're helped by what I believe to be, I'm a little biased, but what I believe to be the best industrial design and engineering team in the entire world at our headquarters in New York City. We literally have industrial designers and mechanical engineers literally standing there, sitting there in the office, looking at the board, seeing what's bubbling up to the top, seeing what concepts are sort of gaining traction in every phase of development, and then sort of honing all of that in and perfecting and refining it. For Jake, we figured out how to make a better power strip. It was to make it pivot. What you're looking at is our first object print of Jake's product. Now, we move forward. At Quirky, it's not just about what's the coolest and what's the best thing at any given time, but it's also about proving out that we're sort of doing the right things throughout the entire process. So for Jake, his product had to get through a pre-sale process. We actually sold close to 1,000 PivotPowers prior to manufacturing it, prior to spending a dime on the product. Luckily for Jake, his product was sort of on all the tech blogs and got a lot of steam because it turns out everyone has a power strip and everyone hates their power strip. So literally 4 hours in, Jake sold 1,000 units and we're off to the races. Now, what you just heard about was a great front-end process. A great front-end process that sort of cultivates the best ideas and then makes sure that for every phase of development, we're doing the right thing. But the most important thing I've come to realize with Quirky isn't the front end, it's sort of the back end. It's the back end of the product development process, and we have a great one. We have the object machine and all that fun stuff. We do have SolidWorks. I guess that's why I was invited here. Our in-house engineers and designers are going through this entire process and making sure that we're not just doing all the glossy things that the world wants us to do at any given time, but also that the things that the world wants are actually feasible. And all of these tools allow us to do that. Quick thank you to Steve Mercurio at CADEdge, who came to my apartment in Manhattan. He was probably really creeped out. It was a third floor walk up. I was just starting Quirky and told me about all the great tools they had to offer, and boy was he right. We do patenting on behalf of Jake and on behalf of our inventors. PivotPower has a number of patents to its name. We got it certified and tested by the electronic testing labs to make sure that we weren't going to burn people's houses down. These are things that Jake wasn't going to be able to do with his t-shirt from NASA, but things that with the power of technology and community and us, we were able to do for him. On June 2nd of last year, we started producing PivotPowers at a rate of 2,000 units every single day, and we haven't stopped. We've sold over 200,000 PivotPowers in just the last 6-7 months. On every single cardboard box that travels around the world to all the countries PivotPower sold in, recognize that goofy guy? That's Jake. He's on the side of every box. These are the boxes that get ripped off in warehouses and sort of distribution centers around the world that immediately get thrown in the trash. But why is Jake's photo on there? Because that truck driver and that stockroom professional that sees this product come out of the box realizes that, oh my God, if this goofy kid could do it, so could I. Invention is now accessible. This is PivotPower in its retail packaging. Again, on the back of the box, the story of Jake is told. Now, we tell this story and we show off our products in the most grandiose ways possible. This is a 20-foot statement across Bed Bath & Beyonds around the country, a window full of PivotPowers, and that's awesome. This was Jake's first check from us last year in April, $30,000. He's made over $150,000 in the past 7 months. He'll probably make close to $500,000 this year. He's getting cocky as a result of it. In the beginning, I'd be like, hey, will you do an interview with me for Fast Company or something? And he'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever you guys need. Now he's like, well, I'm going to need more information. Anyway, PivotPower is a great success story, and Jake is a phenomenal sort of realization of what the accessibility of invention can do to our world. But at Quirky, it's all about rinse and repeat. We actually develop 2 brand new consumer products every single week. regardless of what's going on in the world or what the sort of economic factors are, every Tuesday at 12 and every Thursday at 12, that's Eastern time, we launch a brand new consumer product on Quirky.com. So what does this mean? Well, we now have 200, it's actually closer to 300 products in our portfolio right now. We're now at a rate where we're getting over 1,500, close to 2,000 consumer product ideas every single week to sort through and vet. Remember, we do 2 products a week, but we're now very seriously considering upping that. You can find our products at the top retailers in the country: Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, Toys R Us, Office Max, all these guys. And that's fun. But what does this all mean for the world of invention? What does it all mean for the world of engineers and developers? Well, let's start out with the best feeling in the world. Whether or not you just created a baby or a product, the best feeling in the entire world is saying, I made that. For me, that's how this company got started. I was on a subway in New York City with my prior company at the time, and I saw out of the corner of my eye a product that I helped make, that I invented. And that was the best feeling in the world. And I'm not kidding you, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have felt it. Oh my God, I made that. That came out of my face, and without me, that wouldn't exist. Now, to date, that feeling has been sort of left in the hands of people with the right tools, people with the right education, and people that are in a position of power with financing and all of these things combined. That's changed. Now, the feeling of I made that comes in the form of 140 characters. This was just a few weeks ago. I opened the Target ad, and lo and behold, I see a product that I helped create. This was PivotPower. Now, that was awesome, because this is some random person who I didn't even know helped create it. It was Trevor Johnson, right? But he's claiming ownership in that idea. And the way he's done that is because we have this process called influence. Now, I'll explain that in a second, but our way of doing it at Quirky isn't the only way of doing it, right? Attribution is something so beautiful because it breeds evangelists, right? When you could say, I made that or I helped in that, you're more sort of inclined to help other people understand what's so great about it. The process of influence at Quirky is a true reward system. It is set up to properly define and identify how much of an impact you had over the successful development of our consumer products. At any given time, I know you were 2.3% influential, you were 0.7% influential, and you were 0.6% influential. You because you helped pick the colors, you because you found the name, and you because you voted on the idea when it was just in its infancy. Now, we tell that story throughout our entire process. This is actually the instruction manual for PivotPower. After you get through all the things that tell you sort of how not to burn your house down and all the safety stuff, we actually have the names of the 709 people who helped Jake Zion bring his product idea into the real world. All these people did different things, but they are all now able to say, I made that. They're able to claim ownership in it, they're able to tweet, they are able to say, I helped make that product idea reality. We share our revenue back with these guys. 30% on direct sales off of Quirky.com, 10% on indirect sales. Think about what this does. The sense of ownership in your work, in your products. Literally the amount of transparency that we have with our inventors and our community is such that they can log on via their mobile app or Quirky.com at any point and literally see, down to a fraction of a penny, how much their intellectual property was worth. I earned $1.25 on Cordy's yesterday. I earned 37 cents the next day. They can actually track whether or not our retailers have paid us on time, which is really great when getting retailers to pay you on time. Literally, they can go in at any point in time and see what's in our account receivables and what that would translate to for them. The boardroom's dead. It's just dead. And I like that. Because for some reason, the people of the world, the Occupy Wall Streeters, everyone in the world, right, they think that this is how decisions get made at companies. Yeah, man, good job. But that's not true. Decisions are now collaborative. The best ideas aren't coming out of the boardroom, they're coming out of the living room. They're coming from people all over the world that you've never met but are helping you make your products great. This is your future as a company. This is Andrea Zabinski from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She's from the living room, okay? She came to Quirky and said, I hate having so many dishes at the end of cooking pasta. A strainer, a bowl, another bowl, a thing. She wanted to create a strainer bowl. Literally, when you need it closed, it's closed, and when you need to valve it open so you get all the pasta strained out, it's open. These are the types of things that companies like Cuisinart and all these guys would have never thought of if they weren't talking to Andrea. Now, I do want to sort of give you a little cautionary advice. When we talk about community and sort of community in general, I want to say that community looks like this for the most part. Okay? This is community. This is what they look like, and they're all over the world. As great as their inspirational moments are and their aha moments, they still need your help. They still need the help of engineers and designers and professionals to sort of bring their ideas to life. And they cannot do it on their own, and they're not expecting to do it on their own. But as we sort of move into this new era of collaborative design, I want everyone to know that this is not a experts versus community thing. This is us all coming together and realizing the way to make great products is by putting this, the expert designer, with community and technology. That is what the future of product development looks like. It's not crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing is all pull. That means that sort of experts are smarter than community or vice versa. It's about coming together and using the tools that you guys have as professionals and the sort of inspirational moments of community to make the best products in the whole darn world. That is proper product development. That is where the future is going. And you guys play such a huge part in it. We all invent, and again, it's like a breath. It's something that we all are born with. But we've stopped. And we've stopped because it's hard, and we've stopped because the world infers we should stop. But with all the tools out there, and the power of community and technology, now we can go. Now we can do it together, and sort of pick the best and brightest in every single field, come together and build these incredible things that you never thought were possible. I really appreciate you guys letting me be here, and I like SolidWorks. Yeah.